Laziness Won't Get You Anywhere, is the title of our first story. In ancient times, a king had his men place a boulder on a roadway. He then hid in the bushes, and watched to see if anyone would move the boulder out of the way. Some of the king's wealthiest merchants and courtiers passed by, and simply walked around it. Many people blamed the king for not keeping the roads clear, but none of them did anything about getting the stone removed. One day, a peasant came along carrying vegetables. Upon approaching the boulder, the peasant laid down his burden and tried to push the stone out of the way. After much pushing and straining, he finally managed. After the peasant went back to pick up his vegetables, he noticed a purse lying in the road where the boulder had been. The purse contained many gold coins, and a note from the king, explaining that the gold was for the person who removed the boulder from the road. That's why I always keep working hard, because laziness won't get you anywhere. Never let one failure from the past hold you back in the future. As a man was passing the elephants, he suddenly stopped, confused by the fact that these huge creatures were being held by only a small rope. It was obvious that the elephants could, at any time, break away from their bonds. But for some reason, they did not. He saw a trainer nearby, and asked why these animals just stood there and made no attempt to get away. Well, trainer said, when they are very young and much smaller, we use the same size rope to tie them, and at that age, it's enough to hold them. As they grow up, they are conditioned to believe they cannot break away. They believe the rope can still hold them, so they never try to break free. The man was amazed. These animals could at any time break free from their bonds. But because they believed they couldn't, they were stuck right where they were. Even though you're damaged, you still have value. A popular speaker started off a seminar by holding up a $20 bill. A crowd of 200 had gathered to hear her speak. She asked, "Who would like this $20 bill?" 200 hands went up. She said, "I am going to give this $20 to one of you. But first, let me do this." She crumpled the bill up. She then asked, "Who still wants it?" All 200 hands were still raised. "Well," she replied, "what if I do this?" Then she dropped the bill on the ground and stomped on it with his shoes. She picked it up and showed it to the crowd. The bill was all crumpled and dirty. "Now who still wants it?" All the hands still went up. She said, "My friends, I have just showed you a very important lesson. No matter what I did to the money, you still wanted it. Because it did not decrease in value. It was still worth $20. Many times in our lives, life crumples us and grinds us into the dirt. We make bad decisions, or deal with poor circumstances. We feel worthless. But no matter what has happened, or what will happen, You will never lose your value. You are special. Don't ever forget it. You are not going to get anything handed to you. A man walked to the top of a hill to talk to God. The man asked, "God, what's a million years to you?" And God said, "A minute." Then the man asked, "Well, what's $1 million to you?" And God said, "A penny." Then the man asked, "God, can I have a penny?" And God said, "Sure. In a minute." Man lost in a desert story. Once a man got lost in a desert. Water in his flask had ran out 2 days ago. He knew if soon he doesn't find water, he will die. Then, man saw a small hut ahead. He thought it may be a hallucination. But he had no other option. So he moved forward in direction of hut. As he got closer, he realized it was real. He reached. And when he opened the door of hut, he found that it was not occupied. And seemed like it had been abandoned for a long time. Man looked here and there to find water. He was surprised to see that there was a water pump, which had pipe going down through floors, perhaps deep to source of water. Man began working on hand pump, but no water came out. He kept at it but still nothing happened. Finally he gave up, from exhaustion and frustration. He felt like he is going to die. Just then he noticed a bottle in one corner of hut. It was filled with water and corked up. Quickly he grabbed the bottle, and was about to gulp down water, when he noticed a piece of paper attached to it. "Use this water to start the pump. Don't forget to fill the bottle again when you are done," was written on paper. He thought to himself, what to do? If I let water go to pump, what assurance do I have that it would work? What if pump malfunctioned? If it turned out to be false, then pouring that water into pump would be throwing away last water he could ever have. He closed his eyes, said his prayers, and then with trembling hands he poured water into pump and started working the pump. Little while later, he heard a gurgling sound, and then water came gushing out, more than he could possibly use. He drank to his full, got refreshed, filled his flask, and also filled the bottle, and put cork back. After feeling much better, he looked around, and found a pencil with map of region. Looking at map he realized that he was still far away nearest village. But at least now he knew in which direction he has to go. Before leaving the hut, he put bottle at its place back, and added his own writing below the instruction, "Believe me, it works." The moral is, this story teaches us about keeping faith. Man didn't know if his actions would be rewarded. But he proceeded regardless. Without knowing what to expect, he kept a leap of faith. Water in this story represents the good things in life. Give life some water to work with and it will return far more than you put in.